Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay, yes, you can hear me. Okay, right, we are at Austria for Division 5 in F1WR. This is round 6, I believe. Let me double check that quickly. I'm probably wrong. But yeah, we are well into our season here in Division 5. And we are now heading to Austria. Let me just double check this one. Yes, I was right. No, actually, I was not. Yeah, Austria, round 6. And it is full wet conditions here in qualifying. If we get our detail onto tyres, and F1WR Ricardo sets the fastest lap with 1:14.122. And let's get our gap to leader telemetry. No, we'll have lap data and full track map. All right, so we have got our qualifying session underway now. It's going to take a little bit of time for everybody to get adjusted to their grips and get dialed into this full wet conditions. But once they do, we will imagine that these times are going to start ramping up quite rapidly across the entire grid, because you will expect that as we go on through this session, the conditions change, the tyres start to rubber in a little bit more as Theo goes P2, 4/10 off P1, and Wishdax, as we were watching on board, goes P3, 6/10 off P1. Ricardo still holding that lead, the 1:14.1, dominating the top of the timing screens so far. I think we have a McLaren on the lap, do we? Yes, we did. We had Flair, and he is up to P6, and he is 9.6 off P1, just under a second gap. Now let's keep watching as people cross the line here. We got George starting his lap as the other McLaren comes across the line to finish his lap, I believe. No, maybe starting another one. And is that a Haas that is on a lap? No, he is on an out lap, and he goes spinning rounds, and Dark Boom is out of qualifying. He's hit the wall. Final corner. It's full wet conditions, and they really have not adjusted. Well, Dark Boom has not adjusted to this different weather condition in qualifying, and he is out. He's out of qualifying, and he'll start last on the grid as it stands because he doesn't have a time in, and that is going to bring out a yellow flag. So a shame for Dark Boom, but he's made a crucial error and has ruined his chances of setting a decent lap time. As we try to find somebody on a lap here, is maybe a McLaren. Yes, McLaren maybe on a lap. He's down by 4/10-ish. Something which might become to be seen more often in this session is continuous lap times like this McLaren is doing, but he was 5/10 off on that lap, so not quite as fast as he would like to go. But should we look down the grid? Let's try to find, is that George? That is George. He's going to come across the line. Where can he go? He goes P4, 626 thousandths off P1. God, that's a handful. P2 and P4 for Williams so far. A decent result, but have a look at the tires, because Ricardo has put on the intermediate tires, and he is coming out of the garage soon. Although we have seen this in other sessions, but only Funny Will has them on too. But often, yeah, that is what I expected. Often drivers will switch their tires just to check delta times in terms of difference across the tire compounds. However, he has gone back to inters and then back to wets again. So very confusing, but a man like Mark does go P3 with 5/10 off P1. So F1 Ricardo still has a decent lead. I know there's a W in there, but I'm just going to call him F1 Ricardo for the sake of easiness. Yes, there's a Ferrari coming across the line. I think that's Wishdax, who's now going to be starting another lap for him for the Ferrari team. He's gone for a slow lap, get those tires up to temperature, and he's going to go for another quick lap now in that Ferrari car, coming up to this heavy braking zone up the hill, followed by another DRS zone. However, our DRS is not on, and there is confirmation. F1 Ricardo has got those intermediates back on, but Wishdax goes too wide on the exit, and he's tapped the exit curb, and the back of the car just goes. He hits the wall on his way reversing, but hopefully no damage for him there, as yes, F1 Ricardo is on the intermediate tires. He's got those new intermediate boots on, and he's going out in Q1. I'm going to try something drastically different. We'll have a look on his car to see what the grip is like on those intermediate tires. But he thinks his time. He's leading the timing screens, but you can just see he's taking it so easily, even on an outlap, because he knows how easy it is to drop it through that corner, let alone on inters on a possible full wet track, just in full wets in general, in the wet in general, that corner is incredibly tricky. And he'll be taking this outlap with a lot of caution, but we can now see a lot more drivers starting to bring on their cars into the garage to switch onto intermediate tires, as Harry now coming through sector 3 actually. He goes perfectly on that exit there, driving in that Ferrari, currently in P15, yet to set a lap. He's done 4 laps on those full wet tires, can't quite get one in. This might be the final opportunity he has before the transition to intermediate tires, and this lap might even be futile, considering that a lot of the grid is now opting for those intermediates instead. As man like Mark goes P2, but Harry is invalidated on the final corner, and he will invalidate that lap and this lap too. That was a 1:14.6, and that would have put him just about inside the top 6. But yes, man like Mark has improved up to P2, 2/10 off of F1 Ricardo. But F1 Ricardo's now on a lap. Let's have a look at him. He's only 1,000th up on his time, so it's going to be right on the delta between the two tyre compounds. And it's really a toss of the coin which is going to be quicker, but you'd imagine that it'll be getting drier, the track. That is usually the trend if you start to see different tyre compounds coming out that are a step down the ladder in terms of extremeness of weather. Yeah, we get information from a driver in the chat there, which is Flair, saying that inters are 1 second quicker. So Ricardo's gonna, he's improved a lot in sector 2. He's up by 9/10, and it is well and truly time for the intermediate tires. So a lot of those guys who haven't been able to get a lap in on the full wets, although they have wasted a lot of tire wear, it's not going to be the end of the world, because those laps would have not really meant anything anyway in the grand scheme of things. But Theo did actually just improve up to P2 there, and F1 Ricardo smashes the times, set at a 1:12.596, and he is now 1.7 seconds quicker than the entire grid, and that shows that it is time for intermediates, and anybody not on intermediates needs to get on them right now, and that is a certainty that we know of. Now let's look around the grid. I think we have a Williams of Theo. Yes, he is the closest, but he's going to peel into the pit lane. You would expect. Is that Craze Kieran? He is on intermediates, but he is on an outlap. Let's keep looking. Flair is on a lap. He's up by half a second in that McLaren car, driving in that number 20. He's got the rain light going on the back of his car. As expected, he's going to take that dry racing line. You can already see that dry line start to form. When you see that dry line amidst all of the other spray and rain, that's the standing water that's sitting on that track, you know that it is starting to become time for the intermediate tires. But Flair is invalidated, and he was up by a substantial amount, but he's going to have to go again, as now, yes, the entire grid is on to intermediate tires. We've got 6 minutes left in Q1, and all of those times on wet are going to become absolutely futile by the end of this qualifying session, as now Flair is going to restart his lap, hoping not to invalidate this one, but it looks like he has invalidated again. It still says he's invalidated that one. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, maybe he must have run wide at the final corner, but that is a real shame for him. I think we have RX who is on a lap, but actually Isco goes P2, 1 second off of Ricardo, so that really just shows how competitive Ricardo's lap was. Hello Dams, I can see you in the chat. Isco 9.94 tenths off of P1, which is F1 Ricardo currently, and I think, yeah, we have started to get a lot of others on laps. So let's go back to RX. Is he up by 2/10 on his last lap on those intermediate tires? He's going to need a bit more of a time delta, but we're starting to notice as Craze Kieran goes P2. 6/10 off P1, a great lap from Kieran. Puts himself right in the mixer for a fight for the top of the timing screens in Q1. Is a little bit wide from RX, but yes, you're starting to see they don't get that much improvement in Sector 1 because lots of straights, and you're not going to lose that much time there, but Sector 2 is really where it starts to ramp up, and you really begin to see the delta, as now RX was up by 1.7 seconds through there. Now let's see what he can do through this final sector. He's coming around the last corner, and he's invalidated on the final corner. We'll have a look at what the time was anyway. It was a 1:13 dead, so that would have put him, well, that would have put him P2 pretty much, just ahead of Craze Kieran, but he is now going to have to go again, including that outlap, which he won't be able to do, which is unfortunate for him, really it is. But as LT Smurf goes P2 in the McLaren, a great lap from him, and I think we might see an Alpha Tauri come across the line of Cheese Grater, who sets a 1:12 flat, and that is 5/10 clear of F1 Ricardo, and half a second clear of the entire grid. And behind F1 Ricardo, there's only 2 others within a second of him. and he's got a huge gap to the rest of the grid. But I think that is proof that the track is really, really ramping up. Hello, JJ. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2 invalidated. Yeah, good to go again. All right, let's keep going. As I think we have, well, we've got an Aston, and then we have a Williams coming across the line. And George goes P2, 2/10 off P1. That's a great lap from the Williams driver, and he puts himself in firm contention for those top 5 spots in Q1. And that is a very good job from him. A couple tenths clear of Ricardo. And now he's going to pull to the side and let the drivers behind him by. Although I don't think he is on a lap, that Aston Martin behind him. Now let's keep going. Looking through the grid. Have we got an Alfa Romeo? I think that is man like Mark. No, he's not on a lap. He's run a bit wide through there. I don't know if he is on a lap or not. But we will have to see. No, he's definitely not. Slowing down on the grid there. I think Theo is on a lap. He has just started. Let's keep looking. Harry. Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Harry has gone P2 in the Ferrari. That is just ahead of George, which is just 1.9 tenths behind Cheese Grater at the top of the standings. And a great lap from Harry, sticking himself right up the order, number 15 on that Ferrari car. And let's keep looking, see who is on a lap still. Is Craze Kier on a lap? I think he might be. He is. He's just started his lap now, I believe. We have a Mercedes 2. That might be Christian flying on the order. It is. He goes P6. 6/10 off P1, a decent lap from him, but we know that he has got more in him. Christian, he was in a battle for some of the top spaces in this championship fight. Now he's here McLaren. Are they going to improve? No. And let's keep looking. I think we have an Alfa Romeo. Is that an Unfunny Will? I think it might be. He is up by just a little bit on his time, and he's going to need a little bit to get right back up the grid. But he is improving slightly now. He's coming across the line. Let's see what he can do. And it's P2, and a good improvement, 3/10 up on his time. He is now 1.6 tenths off of P1, and he goes P2. But that was another improvement for Theo. And now, Williams are side by side, 4th and 5th, as Theo improved by 2 seconds. But now they're on the same row because Twiffle has improved in the Red Bull, and he goes P3 on the grid. What a lap from Twiffle. Puts himself right up the order in that Red Bull car. And now we have a Mercedes of Christian. He's a little bit wide there, as that Stinger's about to do a lap. No, he's invalidated that one, but he is going to get to restart. That was 2.4 improvement. That would put him pretty high up the grid, so promising for Stingers, even though that lap did not count. Now, let's keep looking back through the grid. Have we got a McLaren? I think we might have. I think I'm very happy about this. I've had to lower down the quality of the stream and lower the bitrate, but I think you guys would rather have lower quality with actually having a watchable stream, so I think it's improvements. I'm glad we can actually stream the race for once. We might have an Alpha Tauri on a lap. Is that Cheese Grater on another lap? No, it's not. Might be RCR. No, he's starting a lap. An Alpine, maybe. I think this might be Mopsy Flopsy coming across the line to finish his lap. Is it? No, he is now starting. There seems to be nobody on a lap at this moment. Is that Theo on a lap? No, he is starting his lap. We got an Alfa Romeo. That might be Man Like Mark. No, he's on an out lap. Oh, goodness. I tell you, the hardest part of this qualifying is actually finding people who are on qualifying laps. That is the hardest part of being a commentator. Stinger's now coming through the final section, 1.6 seconds up on his time. Yeah, this is going to be a real big improvement on his last time, as we see him around the final corner, come up to the line, and that Mercedes, where Lewis Hamilton did so well in Austria in 2020, he's going to try and emulate that. He improves by 2 seconds, puts himself into P12, which should just be enough to get him through. Yeah, so the only person now... Oh, we got a couple people who still need to set laps on Inters, actually, but you can see the likes of Flair and the likes of RCR, who are still a little ways off. We have an Alfa Romeo coming around the final corner. I think that is Malik Mark on an outlap, and then a Ferrari. Might be Wishdax on the lap, so keep an eye out for that on the left-hand side, but we're going to stick with RX for the moment and watch him come around this corner, see what he can do as Twiffle's retired. I think that was in the pit lane. He thinks he's through. Now let's see what RX can do. Comes across the line P13, a decent lap, but he might need a little bit more to get himself firmly through the qualifying session. However, this is going to be his last attempt because the checkered flag is out, and it is going to be really difficult for a guy like Man Like Mark, who's in P17, our championship leader. He's going to need to pull one right out of the bag at the end of this qualifying session if he wants to get himself through. He's 2.3 seconds off. All he needs is a little improvement, though. He's not fully set a lap yet on Inters, and he is the championship leader, so you would definitely back him to get through. We have got Craze Kieran on an outlap there. There is a Ferrari coming around the corner. A Wished Axe, I believe. No, he is not on the lap. Let's not watch him. Okay, I think we have Isco who is improving, and he's behind Man Like Mark. Let's stick with Man Like Mark then. Let's keep watching Man Like Mark on this track. He's going to try and spot this apex nicely. Let's ride on board with him up to the grid, tapping that inside guard. Don't get too much, otherwise you can spin the car. Be really nice and gentle on the acceleration out of that corner, and this is going to be slap bang easy through for Man Like Mark, although not the best of laps. He goes P11, however, that is still him going to be firmly through this qualifying session, unless the others behind him can pull off a very big improvement, which I don't think we will see happening. However, there are still more people to do laps. For example, we've got Isco coming up to the line. He goes P14. He is barely through, but he might still be out as we see Mopsy Flopsy improve there too along the grid. Stingers looks to be through almost. He's probably still going to have a little bit of trouble. Craze Kieran is only up by 33 thousandths. He's going to need a little bit more through this sector, but no, he's down by half a second, and Theo goes fastest with a 1:11.881. A great lap from Theo, laying down a marker. There's your counter in the first section of qualifying as Craze Kieran cuts that corner, and he's invalidated. And that is Craze Kieran out, along with Flair, Routine Puppet, and RX. Now that is a surprise, because Flair was on for a really, really mega lap, and he just hasn't been able to string one together. He invalidated his second lap again, and Flair is out of qualifying, so he can't do anything about it. But, yeah, that is... So, we have lost in this session then. Flair in P18, Routine Puppet in P17, Craze Kieran, both Aston Martins out in qualifying, RX in P15, and Isco, Stingers, Man Like Mark, Smurf, Mopsy, Christian. And they didn't let me read it in time. Hang on, wait, let me... no, it didn't let me read it in time. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait. But yes, and of course, Dark Boom, who was out as well. I think he just left the session. I will invite him back quickly. Let's get Dark Boom back in this lobby. Oh god, is my headset going to die? Oh god. This headset better not freaking die. I think we should be good. We should be okay. Alright. Let's get onto this grid. So yes, Theo setting the fastest lap in Q1 on those intermediate tires. We transitioned onto those inters midway through this session, and Ricardo was the first one to bite the bullet, but he didn't get a second proper lap in. Puts him in P7 for Alpine. We get Theo, Cheese Grater, Unfunny Will, Twiffle, Harry, George, Ricardo, Wished Axe, Christian, Mopsy, Smurf, Man Like Mark, Stingers, Isco, and RX all through, and we lose Kieran, Routine Puppet, Flair, and Dark Boom, who did not set a lap because he was out, and VRL Flair was the only man not to get a lap in on those intermediate tires, as he invalidated both of his laps, even though he was on for a really good one at the start of the session. And now it is on to qualifying 2. Oh my god. No! Ah! I had my mic muted. I'm so mad. I had my mic muted that whole time. I muted it to take a drink of water and I forgot to put it back on. Oh my god. Excuse my language, but fuck's sake. I had that whole thing done and like... Oh my god. Well... Anyway, moving on. Well, oh my god. Right. Okay, well, I'll try and remember what I said. I don't know. Well, Ricardo and Christian did a good job. Yeah, they did soft tire runs. Theo did a really good job on mediums. I had a whole thing where I talked about Theo's crazy lap and I got hyped, and now it doesn't matter because I forgot to unmute my mic. Anyway, Theo is through, George is through, Cheese Crater is through, Unfunny Will is through, Goat is through, Man Like Mark is through, Harry is through in 9th, and Twiffle just makes it through by the skin of his teeth in 10th place on the medium tyre. Man Like Mark and Theo all making it through on the mediums, and Stingers, Wishstacks, Smurf, RX, and Mopsy all out of qualifying. I'm so mad because that was such good commentary, and it's not even on... I know, I had a whole commentary for that, Theo, and it's not even on the... It's not even on the stream. Oh, it's wet again, of course. It's raining again. Right, okay. I need to stop talking. Well, I don't need to stop talking. I need to start commentating. Right, okay. Lap data on Inter Tires. It looks like, yeah, it is going to be Inter Tires. So, our Q3 is going to be on intermediate tires. And I'm so unbelievably bad. And I'm going to mute myself to take a drink. And I'm not going to forget to unmute myself. Right, alright, so all of the grid besides George is now out on an outlap. We have got, I believe that is Theo, who's going to be our first across the line. So let's ride on board with him here. We've got the track map on, and he's going to be coming across the line to start his lap now. For the Williams team, he is a Division 6 driver, reserving up into Division 5 for the team. Cuts across that curb nicely as we see his teammate coming out of the pit lane. They'd be trying to do a little bit of a toe there, but they just missed that one. Theo now running up the line under the Aramco sponsorship boards, braking just after the 100-meter board, obviously a little earlier in the wet than you would in the dry, but just look, there is no dry line on this track. It looks like they're driving on ice, and this is one of the most difficult periods to drive in because the dry line has not yet formed. There's not been enough cars going across the usual racing line to push the water away from it. So when you're driving in the wet, often... well, you'll have the whole track wet, but these Formula 1 cars almost act as a bit of a, like a mop. They push all the water away from the main racing line where the cars are driving on. But anyway, Theo, this looks like a decent lap from him, and he is going to be hitting that curb nicely on the right-hand side, run it all the way up into the penultimate corner at the head of the whale. Now, across into this next... Oh, you guys didn't even hear that. I'm so annoyed. I was talking about how the track looks like a whale, and if anybody understands that reference, they're a legend. It totally does. Look at the top right. Anyway, Theo sets the fastest lap with a 1:12.4. Now let's look behind him, see what others can do. I believe we have another... That was to George. So now we've got Christian, I think, who's going to come across the line next. No, he invalidates that time. F1 Ricardo, though, is going to be next in the Alpine. Where can he go on the grid? He goes P1. A 1:11.517, a great lap from him. A second clear of Theo, as Iscode is on soft tyres. No way you're soft tyres in these conditions. Anyway, she's greater, P2. 6/10 off of F1 Ricardo in P1. And Unfunny Will goes P3. 7/10 off of Ricardo. But close overall on this grid. Harry goes P6, not a representative lap time from him. He will get a better lap in later. As now, who is going to be next across the line? I think it will be George. Yes, nope. It might be Theo, actually. Yes, Theo is improving by about 3/10. He's going to come around for a consecutive lap. He was the first to set a lap at the start of Q3. Now he might be, he's going to be the next person to set a lap. Nope, he is, never mind. He is coming into the pit lane, and that will not be a lap for him. However, his teammate will be one to set the next lap in the Williams car. Safin on the back, coming from Nicholas Latifi in real life. Injection of money into that team in real life F1. I'm waffling. And George goes P4. 8/10 off of P1, a little higher up than Theo could. And Theo will not like that. He'll want to beat his teammate. But the Williams cars have been really close together so far in this session as F1 Ricardo improves again to a 1:11.381. Just a little higher up, and she's greater, goes P2, 5/10 off of P1. Twiffle is now P3. We are just waiting on a few more guys to set their laps, as Isco, for some reason, is on soft tyres. There is no way you can pull off a lap on softs in these conditions. And anybody who tries to do that is a madman. Harry is invalidated once again, and I think it is Unfunny Will who's also invalidated. Twiffle, no, he's not on a lap. It's Isco, but he is not going to do a lap because he's on soft tyres in inter conditions. George might be the next one to set a lap, although he might just be coming back into the pit lane to switch those tyres off. I'm not quite sure. Cheese Grater has left the session. Let me get him back in there. Would not want that to happen. Invite back to game. All right, let's keep looking. George P5, he's going to try and improve his position a little bit more. He does not peel into the pits. He keeps going, and he's going to try and get a little higher up the grid. We got a yellow sector 3, presumably for someone slowing for another guy in a lap, and he doesn't improve. That's not the quickest of laps. He's down by 3 seconds, so that looks like that was a slow lap, leading into another consecutive lap from him here. And now I think we have... Who is that? Maybe Like Mark on a lap? Yes, we do. He's up by 7/10. This looks to be a good lap from Mark. He's going to need to keep it together through this final sector. Now he's done all the hard work. All he needs to do is the run up to the line. And he goes he goes P3. An improvement of 8/10 now. And he's half a second, just over half a second off of Ricardo's time in P1. And who was that improving there? I think it was Christian going P6 in the Mercedes. And I think that's Harry now improving by 14 seconds, as you'd expect, because he's 22 seconds off. And no, still not the lap he wanted. He's 8 seconds off now. He's done 3 laps on those inters, and he's really going to need to improve now at this point. But still time left. He's got 5 minutes left in this qualifying session. And Iscode is on soft tyres, and Iscode is a madman, because there is no way that those tyres are working in this condition. And he is currently wasting all of his time by being on those tyres, and I have no clue what he is doing. But yeah, that time is unbelievably slow. And he's going to need to bring in himself into the box and switch those tyres. And I think we have got some man like Marku. Nope, he's not on a lap. Is anybody on a lap? Christian's on a lap, I think. He's improving just a little bit. I'm going to keep my eye on the timing screens to make sure nobody else improves. And I miss it. We have got an Alfa Romeo coming around the final corner, but I don't believe that Alfa is on a lap. As no, they peel into the pit lane. Oh, and Christian goes a little bit wide on that final corner and runs it wide. And that is not going to be him. But look at Theo. He's up by 3/10. Purple Sector 1 already. And Cheese Grater needs another invite. I will invite him again. Yeah, you got your invite, lads. That should work. Now, Theo coming across through this second sector. That corner is really tricky on the acceleration, but this looks to be a pretty good lap from Theo. And a pretty impressive one, too, as he coming up to the back of Twiffle, who's going to move out of the way for Theo, although he's kind of holding him up. No, it's not Twiffle, it's Isco. And Isco has completely held up Theo on his lap. And Isco, being an idiot on the soft tyres, has ruined Theo's chance of setting a good lap. And that will be a slam dunk penalty, and he does peel into the pits because he realises that soft tyres was an idiotic choice, and he realises that he has ruined somebody else's qualifying lap. So that should be a slam dunk penalty for Isco, I believe, by the end of this qualifying session. But anyway, Harry is up on his time, I believe. Yes, he has he's actually set a lap now. He's in P5, so an improvement from him. Getting up the order a little bit more. I hope Cheese Grater is back in the lobby. Would be ashamed to see him miss out on a chance to set a good lap in this qualifying session, but still time for him, most definitely, still time. And yeah, so Harry coming through this section of track, and he peels into the pit lane now. And yes, he will not set another lap. Theo, on the other hand, I think is setting another lap. He is up by about 1/10 in this qualifying session. We've got 3 minutes left in Q2. Still lots of opportunities to set laps in this session, and a lot of opportunity to improve and get yourself a higher standing position on the grid. Now, this qualifying session, although this one is wet, we are still going to be locked into that not free tire choice for the race, as Q2 was dry. Now, Theo is warming his tires up on the straight. I think that maybe shows that he's not on a proper lap, but he was weaving a little bit. I don't know what was going on there, but it looks to be coming down a lot harder now. And yes, F1 Ricardo is strapped on those full wet tires. It looks like it's time for full wets. Theo couldn't find any temperature in the tires, most likely why he was weaving. And if it's gotten to full wets now, this might be your qualifying order done. Because I don't know if people are going to have any more opportunities to improve. And all of a sudden, Isco holding up Theo in qualifying is looking a lot worse. Please invite you again. Okay, I'll send you a couple. After this, I don't think there's really much more I can do. Cheese grater. But yeah, I'll do my best. Alright, now back to qualifying. We have got 2 minutes left in this session, and not a lot of time left for drivers to improve. Unfunny Will in number 62 on the Alfa Romeo, as Christian has retired, and Theo is going to try and set another lap. Twiffle's retired too. Others on full wet. I don't know, it might be full wet time, and I think that has ruined a lot of people's qualifyings because their laps were ruined. I'm very non-explicitly talking about Theo here, who was completely held up on his lap, and now he comes into the pit lane and won't get back out for another chance. Alright, now, yes, okay, so, well, I don't think there's really any point watching any of these laps now, because, well, they're on old intermediate tires that are not gonna work, but you're in, that's good. Well, Cheese Grater, I think you're gonna get P4, because nobody else is gonna be able to set a freaking lap, because it's too wet. For Inters now, it's full wet conditions. And F1 Ricardo knows that. He's on the full wets. So I don't know why he's really setting a lap, but I guess nice to try. No, he has retired now. So yeah, we are going to get people retiring from this session pretty soon, because they realize there is no hope of improving at all, and that is going to mean that F1 Ricardo is going to be on pole position for this qualifying session. And he has put himself in prime position to win this race tomorrow, while Cheese Grater is going to start alongside him on the front row in P2. It is an Alfa Romeo 3 and 6, with Malak Mark, the championship leader, lining up in third place. Twiffle with a great qualifying result in P4 for Red Bull, and then Harry in P5 in that Ferrari car. And then we're going to have Unfunny Will in P6, Christian in P7, George is in P8, Theo is in P9, and Isco is in P10. Yeah, Theo, you are very right. I do not know what he was doing. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is our qualifying done. I guess George is still doing a couple of consolation laps, but, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're just gonna have to wait for George to get up to the line there, and that will be our qualifying done. Okay, I'm gonna mute and eat some of my dinner quickly, and I won't forget to unmute. All right, so we have got F1 Ricardo, who's going to be lining up on pole position for Alpine, and Cheese Grater is going to be P2 for AlphaTauri. Man like Mark is P3 for Alfa Romeo. Twiffle in P4 in that Red Bull car. Harry is in P5. Unfunny Will in P6. Christian P7 for Mercedes. And then there's a Williams 8 and 9 with George in P8 and Theo in P9. And Isco, without sending a representative lap time, is in P10 for Red Bull. Yeah, my headset is dying, and I just had to do a lap in a car because it didn't put me as a spectator. So, well, we have Ricciardo going for the lead here. Cheese Grater and Ricciardo are side by side. I'm going to have to stop watching this in a second because I have to put in a headset. But Cheese Grater and Ricciardo are battling cut and throat. And Cheese Grater is trying to hold his position, but he just can't quite keep it. And Ricciardo takes it back from him. And now, Harry is taking the opportunity to go on Cheese Grater, and he goes up the inside, forces him off the track, and gets that move done. I'm going to have to grab a charger really quickly. Okay, hello. I have finally got my stuff sorted out. I think he is charging now, and it should be okay as we see George and actually Mopsy Flopsy having a bit of battle there. George just gets past, and Mopsy Flopsy have made a bit of contact with him. And then George has just managed to squeeze ahead, but Flair has pounced on that opportunity and got ahead up into P10 now. And let's look back further up the grid. We have got Christian in P5 and Twiffle in P4, both trying to close up to Cheese Grater, but Twiffle really good on those medium tires, just holding people up on the grid. Let's get lap data off, and yeah, that should be us all good. And now, yes, so it is still Ricciardo who leads by 6/10 now. Harry is in P2. Cheese Grater has fallen down within the space of a couple laps down to P3. Harry gets a 3-second time penalty, though, due to multiple warnings. And man like Mark is making a move on Christian, and Christian has lost positions now. He might have had a moment out of that corner because he's now down 2 positions. Theo and man like Mark have pounced on that opportunity and got ahead of him. Flair sets the fastest lap of the race. And now, who are we looking at most likely to make an overtake here? It might be Twiffle, but now we've got Twiffle, man like Mark, and Theo all on medium tires, close to each other, looking to go longer into this race. And those two are going to be in a battle with themselves here, as now actually RX is maybe going to join the fight with them because he's battling Christian, but Christian manages just to sneak ahead of him. And Twiffle is getting really close to the back of Cheese Grater. Cheese Grater is getting really close to the back of Harry, and actually Mopsy Flopsy having a little battle with Isco down the grid in P12 and P13, and a really good battle down there. Now let's keep looking. We've got Isco coming on the back of Mopsy Flopsy again. As who's that battling there? This is really close between the two drivers here. Craze Kieran making a move on Dark Boom. Stingers gets a penalty for multiple track limits warnings. We're going to see a lot of those here at Austria. Austria is a very difficult time. And just as I say that, RX gets one. But Christian's had a spin. He's had a woeful time. He's made a mistake. He's down the order. He's in P13 already. And Christian falling back through the order. And he's fallen. That is horrendous for Mercedes. Now scoring no points. 14th and 15th. In the grid as Wishdax goes for a move on RX. He sends it up the inside. They're side by side through this section, and he swings that one in through the corner. He gets that one nice, done and easy. But Flair is going to be coming back at the Alpha Tauri, and now Bavian looking to make a move on Wishdax. He's got one. He's going to go down the inside of the other. He sends it up the inside, and he makes that move stick. But Wishdax goes for the switchback. What a battle we are having, and he nearly gets that move done, but no. Flair stays ahead of double overtake. What a move from Flair through the middle of Sector 2. And he's put himself up in P7. An amazing move from him there. As now we can start to see Malik Mark distancing himself a bit from Theo through that section of the track. Cheese Grater still looks most likely to make a move within the top 7 on Harry here. However, Malik Mark is actually getting pretty close to Twiffle at this moment. And yeah, looking through the grid still, Christian and Stingers having their little battle. Actually, no, they're not. Christian is into the pit lane, presumably for damage, so it goes from bad to worse for the Mercedes driver. Yeah, not going well for Mercedes so far in this race, and I think maybe coming into this a bit of a quiet section. Never mind. Wishdax making a move on VRL Flair again and getting that move back done, but Flair is going to try and re-overtake him. He goes back up the inside. He's side by side with Wishdax.
and he pulls ahead, and he's going to get that move done before the braking zone. Nice and easy for the McLaren driver, and a simple move there. But now, Harry is 2/10 behind Ricciardo, going to try and make a move for the race lead on the Alpine, and looking really interesting so far. Alright, now back to the stream. We've got a yellow sector 3. What is that for? I think that was a Mercedes having a bit of a moment, but he looks to have regathered himself, recomposed himself. But look at Harry. He is really on the back of F1 Ricardo so much that he almost misses his braking zone and hits the back of him. But Twiffle gets the move done on Cheese Grater on the medium tyres. The mediums starting to come into play, maybe. And softs maybe falling off a little bit. It's Twiffle! Goes right into that braking zone and hits the back of Harry. Almost lets Cheese Grater in, but doesn't quite. And Isco has overtaken George in the Williams. He himself in that Red Bull team. Wishdax is 3/10 behind VRL Flair. This battle is going to keep raging on. And man like Mark, right on the back of Cheese Grater, 3/10 behind him. Meanwhile, Cheese Grater himself is right behind Twiffle, and Twiffle is right behind Harry. And Theo's had a spin. I think Theo has had a spin. He's falling down the order. He's in the gravel. All the way down in P13. He's got a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. It's gone from bad, well, it's gone from goods to terrible so quickly for Theo, and he's got front wing damage. He's going to come into the pit lane. Careful to avoid the car behind him there. He's going to have to cut across. A 3-second time penalty again for multiple warnings. This has gone really bad for Theo. But now let's look up at the grid as man like Mark sends it on Cheese Grater, and he hits Twiffle, and he might have damaged his wing. That was a reckless move from man like Mark, and he will be very lucky if he has no front wing damage from that incident. But looking at the battles going on through the grid, we got Mopsy Flopsy on George, but George is re-overtaking him there, trying to hold his position. He goes back down the inside into this next section of the track and manages to hold it there. And it looks like man like Mark has escaped from that incident without any damage. What a lucky boy he is, because that should have been him with an entire front wing gone. I don't know how he has survived that incident, but he's gotten very, very lucky to do it. Dilly, it is Finn on commentary today. Yes, that is me. Yes, so Cheese Grater 4/10 behind Twiffle. Twiffle himself 2/10 behind Harry. Might be the moment he tries to go for a move, although Cheese Grater might have something to say about it himself. And yes, man like Mark is starting to fall off a little bit. He might have just had to get himself recomposed through that section after that mistake. And look at how late on the brakes Twiffle was through there, just about hitting Harry. And I think it shows the medium's really coming into play. You saw man like Mark with that crazy dive bomb, and he had the speed to do that. But Harry, meanwhile, makes a move for the race lead. He's trying to go around the outside. He can't quite get it done. He gets a better exit than Ricciardo. He's going to try and find any way through that he possibly can, but he's actually exceeded through there, and he's got another 3-second time penalty again. And now this might let Big Twiffle in instead in the Red Bull car. And Harry, while going for that move, has jeopardized his own situation because he exceeded. And Twiffle has so much more speed. And now the softs, they come into the pit lane, and Twiffle gets a penalty for having to cut there because everything's going on. Cheese Grater is spun, and man like Mark somehow takes the lead, but Mark lets him back pass because I think that was an illegal overtake. But now all of the soft runners are coming into the pit lane. Cheese Grater had a little bit of a spin there, I think, and falling down the order. And RXC, Twiffle loses the lead back to man like Mark. Man like Mark re-overtakes him down that straight. He might have just let him by for DRS, actually. Maybe some smart DRS tactics from man like Mark, but Twiffle is going to have more to say about it. Meanwhile, look at this battle between the three in P3, 4, and 5. All so close in this grid as Twiffle makes a move for the race lead. But no, man like Mark managed just to get back up the inside and steals the race win away. Not the race win, the race lead. A bit too early for that. The race lead away from Twiffle. But this battle is going to keep going down this straight as Wishdax is really close behind RXC. But RXC himself is trying to close up on Flair. He's now 3/10 and he's nearly close enough to make a move. He's going to hope that he can, and he's pulled alongside him nearly through that section. He goes around the outside. What a move! No! No, they make contact, and F1WR is around, and that move went from amazing to horrible, and now they make contact, which has spun Flair out, and Flair takes that chance to come into the pit lane, and that is going to cost him a lot of time. Now Smurf is right on the back of George. George trying to defend his position. Let's look up the grid though, because Twiffle is amazingly close to man like Mark. This battle is going to keep on going, and this is just unbelievable. And now sends it up the inside here. He goes for the move for the race lead. Twiffle gets it done. Man like Mark tries to cut back in, pull alongside for this next corner, but he just cannot. And Twiffle gets the overspeed out of that corner and gets the pace just to stay ahead. Excuse the voice crack. Smurf goes ahead of George, puts himself in P6 in that McLaren team. Couple still on soft tyres, who really should be boxing soon because those tyres are going to go off pretty soon. And man like Mark still really close to Twiffle. This battle is unbelievably close. The two of them on the medium tyres, they're going to be trying to stretch those tyres into this race and try and go pretty long. And now man like Mark thought about a move into turn 1, but no, backed off. He knows it's better to get the DRS down this next straight and defend via that way as George comes into the pit lane. And Unfunny Will has had a spin. He's facing backwards and had to reset to the track to keep on driving there. An unfortunate mistake from him, but man like Mark holds station down that straight. He knows Twiffle will get the chance to re-overtake him if he tries to go past. However, he might have jeopardized his own chance, as now RX makes a move on Wishdax. Wishdax makes a little mistake there, and man like Mark cannot get the move done on Twiffle. Wishdax cannot get the move done on RX. Never mind, he can. He goes up the inside there side by side, and Wishdax gets that move done down into turn 4, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he gets that move finished, but RX is not going to give that one up. He's going to be right back at him as Theo is out. Theo's retired on those hard tyres, and Theo is out of this race. Could that be a safety car? If that's a safety car, that is huge for the medium tyre runners. But anyway, now the Ferrari almost pulled along the outside, and RX gets back up into P3. Amazing stuff from him. Wishdax pulls into the pit lane, knowing he's not going to fight that one any longer, but somebody who is going to fight it is man like Mark. He didn't take his chance last lap. He's taking it this lap. He goes around the outside, sails past. However, this battle is not over because Twiffle is going to get DRS. The rear wing is going to be open for him. Man like Mark, let's see if it comes open. No, it doesn't. Twiffle has got that DRS. He's coming down the straight, pulls alongside, goes to the outside of the track, and now he's going to send it all the way around the outside. He gets that move done even before the braking zone. An amazing move as Flair sets the fastest lap of the race, and Twiffle moves into the lead for Red Bull. Amazing drive so far from Twiffle, and now he's going to keep defending as Isco makes a move on Smurf, but Smurf holds position. He holds station against Disco on 13 lap hold soft tires, my apologies, and the Red Bulls are really coming into play in this race. This is amazing from him. Yeah, so we've got man like Mark 4/10 off of Twiffle now at the top of the grid, and Mopsy Flopsy gets a 3-second time penalty. Man like Mark, LT Smurf, and Ricardo are some of the few drivers to not have a penalty, as well as Unfunny Will and Dark Boom, and that is going to benefit them a lot in the long run of this race, as if you don't get penalties Austria, you're going to get a lot of positions. Now, man like Mark tactically holds off just so he can try and get the DRS for the next straight. Has it worked? We'll have to wait and see. They're going to be side by side, neck and neck down to this DRS zone. And no, Twiffle gets the DRS, and he pulls alongside, and he pulls not quite ahead. He's alongside down into the braking zone, and man like Mark manages to stay just ahead. Amazing defending from the Alfa Romeo driver, and brilliant racing here at Austria. This is the battles that we want to see. Although this is amazing racing, this is not great for those two because they're holding each other up. Likewise with Ricardo and Smurf. However, Ricardo getting back past. Look at how close he is to the lead. He's on 3-lap-old mediums, and Ricardo bringing himself into play in this race. And you'd imagine once everybody comes into pit lanes and the racing starts to filter out, Ricardo is going to be the man in the lead of this race. Now, Mopsy Flopsy with a 3/10 gap to Isco. We'll have to see how that progresses. Yes, wished actually a 3-second time penalty, and this little quieter piece of the race. I'm going to take a second to rest my voice, just for a quick second. While
while we wait for a little battle to happen. This might be a battle that's about to happen, actually. So my comment, just like Dilly's, my comment might not age very well about this being a dull period in the race. Likewise with Twiffle pulling up on man like Mark for P1, and oh, he does slip it up the inside. Mopsy goes for it. He's on 15 lap old mediums. Isco is on 15 lap old softs. I don't know what strategy he's doing, but it's an interesting one to say the least. And now VRL Flair gets past George there. George in P12. So close. George has made the pit stop. Flair has also just one lap earlier than George did. Now, George up the inside. Can he get that move back done into the braking zone? He can, and he pulls ahead of Flair. And Flair is going to have to concede that position, but they'll have to keep going into the next straight. And now, Dilly, your comment really hasn't aged well, because the other AlphaTauri has gone spinning and drifting away. And he is now in P8, and he's going to have very high tire temperatures. Might even be getting even worse soon, as Wish Dax could pull up and get past him, pull alongside, but he looks to have managed it not too difficultly. Mopsy Flopsy, this is still our close battle on track, although actually Twiffle is going to look to make another move on man like Mark and try and put himself ahead. Yeah, I'll have a look at that quickly, Liam. Yeah, there's not going to be commentary for a second because I've got to sort this out. Okay, let's get back to this racing now, and I think we had a little bit of action going on because that battle between Smurf and Mopsy, I believe, is very much opened up, and now they're much spread out. I'm sorry I missed that, but I had to sort something out quickly, and Twiffle now is on the back of man like Mark, 5/10 gap. He just can't quite get that move done. He's close to him, and it might be a next lap move that they're looking to make. Now, let's think about, so if we imagine, when did Ricardo box? Ricardo has done 6 laps on those mediums, which means he will have boxed on lap 12. So 12 laps on those soft tires would put us at lap 24 that the medium guys are looking at, roughly. So expect them to box sometime around lap 24. One of the Ferraris spun. Oh, okay. Thank you for that information. Well, that is some action there. One of the Ferraris fallen down the grid. And yeah, Twiffle on the back of man like Mark now. This looks to be the straight that he's going to try and pull off this move, although might be smart for him to just yield a little bit. We have a yellow in this sector, but now it's cleared itself up. Twiffle has the overspeed. He might get enough to make the move. What a camera angle that is. He pulls alongside. No, he doesn't. He backs off, plays the smart game, and just gets past. And I think Twiffle might have nabbed DRS. Let's look at the rear wing. No, he didn't. Mark has got that. This is a million IQ DRS tactics. However, it's not going to work out for Mark at this moment. Yeah, it's not going to work out for Mark at this moment because he's still going to have to lose that position. Meanwhile, Cheese Grater and RX battling at AlphaTauri, the two teammates jostling for position in P8. They're going to have to work together, really, to help get themselves further up the grid, which is likewise for Ferrari, actually, in P6 and P7. They're going to try and pull each other along and defend from the two AlphaTauris, actually. A bit of a double team battle here that we might see coming on. But now, man like Mark, look how much speed he has over Twiffle, but Twiffle is really giving him a right battle. Let's look at penalties quickly. Most on 3 seconds. Twiffle has had a really good showing so far. Man like Mark nearly went for the move down into turn 1. Twiffle defended from it. However, man like Mark is still going to try and make a move. Let's see what he can do. He pulls alongside down this straight, and he does. He gets ahead into that braking zone. However, Twiffle is going to get DRS. Let's wait and see what happens. Hang on. Okay. Now, Twiffle has got DRS down this straight. Can he make a move back down the inside? Can he do anything? Is it RXC? No, he cannot make a move. He gets really close, though, so late on the brakes. He's within 3/10 of man like Mark. However, RX has actually fallen down the order now, and that is not good for him.
and he's lost a lot of ground in the grids. Okay. Yes, okay. Okay, Twiffle's into the pit lane. Twiffle on those mediums is into the pit lane. Let's don't fight. One of the Ferrari spun. Number 1, says Matthew. This looks like a little bit of an early stop. He's going to be doing 15 laps on those tires, but no damage. It is a scheduled stop for Twiffle. Maybe trying the undercut on man like Mark. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we got a yellow sector 3. That looks to have cleared itself up now. And Harry is actually closest to Twiffle. However, Twiffle is going to be looking likely to start pulling away. But look at the gap that Ricciardo has to Twiffle now. It is about 13 seconds actually. And that just shows how much pace Ricciardo has. Ricciardo has made a pit stop. Man like Mark has not. And he is 3.8 seconds behind Mark. This race win looks firmly in Ricciardo's pocket. However, as Dilly says, you are very correct. Ricciardo might be on a 2 stop because he boxed pretty early. And we'll have to see if those mediums can go to the end, because it looks like the mediums can only do 20-ish laps, as these guys are showing here now. And F1 Ricciardo is going to have to do 10 more. And yeah, he'll have to do... Ooh, let's do some maths here quickly, guys. As Harry actually is battling... Nope, he's not. He's coming into the pit lane on those soft tires. Soft's got off. I don't know. That wasn't a great strategy call from Harry. But now Twiffle around the outside of man like Mark. And the undercut has worked out for Twiffle. He takes the lead of the Grand Prix. No. What am I talking about? He takes the lead of the battle with Mark and puts himself in the podium position. So now going to get past Mopsy Flopsy. Looking like that'll be pretty easy. As Mopsy's going to be on pretty old tires. Cheese Grater battling with Wishdax in P5. Looking like he has some decent pace. And yes, so Twiffle now is a 10th behind Mopsy Flopsy. Look, he's going to send it up the inside of this corner. He does! If he gets this done, what a move! What a move from Twiffle. He is driving emphatically right now. He is driving like a madman for Red Bull. An amazing drive so far for Twiffle. However, there is one man ahead of him who is really dominating this race, and it's F1 Ricciardo. And Twiffle has got a 12-second gap to close within, what, 13 laps? Meanwhile, Ricciardo is going to have to do 24, 23-ish laps on those medium tires. He should make it, but he's going to struggle by the end of it. That is for certain. And Mopsy Flopsy now close up behind Twiffle. And man like Mark is actually making a move on him. Look at them. They're so close. They bang wheels. And he's forced man like Mark onto the grass. That was dirty from Mopsy. Mopsy sends it back up the inside and forces Mark off track. That is very dirty driving from Mopsy Flopsy, I have to say. Not the cleanest, but... and he's forced him off again! He's forced him off track once again. I do not know what Mopsy Flopsy is doing. And Wishdax actually goes for a move on Cheese Grater. They make a little bit of contact. Hard but fair racing. Flair gets a move done on Christian. Moves are happening everywhere. They're side by side through this section. And Cheese Grater manages to get ahead or stay ahead. I can't remember who was ahead in the first place. There's a great battle going on. What is Mopsy doing? You're very right. All the time you have to leave a space. Yep, I don't know what was going on there, but man like Mark now so close behind Mopsy. This could get feisty. The two championship rivals from last season in Division 6. Mopsy's not even in the same league as man like Mark right now. He is miles off of his pace. Man like Mark pulls alongside and tries to go around the outside of turn 1. This could get feisty. Mopsy doesn't want to yield. He forces him off again. This has got to be some kind of penalty because Mopsy just does not want to move and give him room. I don't know what kind of dirty driving is going on here, but now man like Mark should get that move properly done. Let's look at Mopsy though. Sends it up the inside and forces him off again. Okay, this is an absolutely massive penalty that's going to have to come Mopsy's way because he is driving like an idiot. And he's actually allowed Cheese Grater to come through and get past both of them. I don't know where Cheese Grater has come from, but he's managed to pull something out. And now man like Mark giving Mopsy a little bit back, forcing him off, which that wasn't really odd. I think man like Mark might get a penalty for that too, but yeah, I'm not going to say that Mopsy didn't deserve it because he most definitely did. Forced him off a lot, but that's not how you want a driver to react. But what this has done for Twiffle is give him complete free air from the guys behind him and free reign to push on for Ricciardo.
I think Mobsy's trying to do a Checo. Yeah, he is. He's being an absolute idiot. That's what he's trying to do. He's gone long on those tyres. As soon as man like Mark has got past him, he's come into the box and completely just held him up to try to help out his teammate. He is driving like an idiot. And I have no bias towards Alfa Romeo or Alpine, as I'm the Williams team boss. Williams aren't in that fight in the overall standings. However, it does not take a lot of intelligence in terms of racing to understand that that was Mopsy driving like a madman and holding him up for his teammate. But look at this bad old cheese grater trying to go up the inside of man like Mark. He goes down the inside into turn 4. Man like Mark just manages to slip back past. They make contact, and man like Mark has made contact again, and he's hit cheese grater and he's spun him. And cheese grater is round and he's round again. He might have front wing damage, and that's such a shame. And Ricciardo is into the pit lane. He is on a 2-stop, and this is going to be absolutely massive for Twiffle in the Red Bull. And now it looks like he's going to take the lead onto those soft tyres. Ricciardo is going to be on soft, and now it's flipped on its head. Twiffle is going to have 10 laps to defend from Ricciardo, and Ricciardo is going to be driving like a madman himself. Not quite in the same sense that Mopsy was, but at the same time, Ricciardo is now going to try and get past man like Mark. So that is going to be a huge penalty for Mopsy. And I actually have to think that there'll probably be a penalty for a man like Mark too, because he forced Mopsy off as well. Really, that was just idiotic racing. Initially from Mopsy, and idiotic from man like Mark to respond like that. But anyway, Ricciardo goes around the outside, and sticking it all the way around the outside of the corner. That is how you give space when you're making an overtaking maneuver. And Ricciardo goes back up the inside. Respectful, clean racing from the two drivers there. And I don't think he even touched wheels. That was a great overtake, great clean racing as George gets a penalty, but he's doing really well up in 6th place actually. A really good result for the Williams team. Let's look at penalties quickly. So yeah, Wish Tax on 15 seconds. Wow, that's another point actually. And Wish Tax is getting overtaken, I think, by Flair. No, Flair's in the pit lane, so Flair boxes. Harry gets a 3-second time penalty once again. Not a great race from him. He's on 15 seconds of penalties. Mark killed Cheese as well. Yeah, both of them are going to have to get penalties for that, I believe. Yeah, Smurf up on Flair, and Flair into the box. Now it's McLaren 8th and 9th, and yes, so man like Mark, 5/10 off of Ricciardo. Kieran falling down the order to P14, 15 now. I think he's in the box. Yes, he is. For Aston Martin, a shocking race for Aston. One of their guys is 4 laps down because he wasn't able to make this race. I think he's just kind of disconnected. That is not good for him. Anyway, back to that incident. I'm just going to say that I know somebody in real life who, I talk about F1, and her response is F1 mumbo jumbo. I think she could tell you that was dirty driving from Mopsy Flopsy. Yeah, because I don't even know what he was doing. I mean, he's clearly trying to help out his teammate Ricciardo, which he's done, but he has just completely messed Ricciardo up. Not Ricciardo, he's messed man like Mark up and caused man like Mark to get angry and retaliate and force Mopsy off. And they're both going to have to get penalties for that now. But yeah, not great either way. And yeah, man like Mark now 7 cents off of Ricciardo. Looks to be a little stationary right now. Christian sets the fastest lap. Let's go back to tyres. And that's another thing to mention. Twiffle has got a 3-second penalty. Ricciardo has only got no penalties. So Ricciardo, as long as he can get within 3 seconds of Twiffle, he will get this race win. Provided no other madness happens. But George is actually closing up to Wishdax right now. And putting an impression on that P4 position. This has been a great drive from George and the Williams team. He's put in a really good performance. And yeah, he's on those medium tyres. And this is going to be his best drive so far, as if he can keep it together for the next 7 laps. Yeah, 7 laps. Had to do a little bit of maths there. As man like Mark actually falls out of DRS of Ricciardo. Ricciardo is pulling away. Meanwhile, he is still closing up on Twiffle.
and George 8/10 behind Wishdax. This looks to be our closest battle on track currently, so let's ride on board with George, who is going to be right on the back of Wishdax. Cheese Grater gets a time penalty for track limits. And now George has got that DRS flowing down this straight. He is alongside Wishdax. He is ahead of it at Wishdax into the braking zone, touching that inside curb, touching the outside curb almost. And he gets himself up into P4. A great drive so far from him. But let's turn our attention to the top 4 because F1 Ricardo now has 7 laps to get that gap to Twiffle down to just 3 seconds. And he will be in the position to win this race for Alpine. But nevertheless, a great drive from Twiffle. And let's actually check how many warnings F1 Ricardo is on. So if we get to incidents, let's go find Alpine. None yet. Pretty flawless race. Okay, he's got 1 track limits warning. And that's a no. Wait, that is Mopsy. That's also Mopsy. Mopsy. And yep, Mopsy. Alpine. Mopsy again. Jeez. Mopsy again. Ricardo, yeah, 2 warnings. Ricardo is on 2 warnings of penalties. Really hope I haven't missed too much. Craze Kieran gets 3-second time penalty. So now he is within 3 seconds and is in the current net P1 position. Wishdax is battling to George. Actually, no, did George fall back? I think he did. He made a mistake. He's made a mistake. He's dropped back. And Isco has passed. And Harry might be passed too. But George has just manages to stay ahead of the both of them. And that is unfortunate for George. And Ricardo is 1 warning away from getting a time penalty. And having to do this overtake the old-fashioned way on the grid. Now we see Harry on the back of George trying to make a move, trying to go up the inside, maybe around the outside. He's going to be forced to the outside by George. And Isco has got no DRS. This might nearly be 3 wide. No, it's not. Harry is staying on the outside, making not to make too much of an impression, but he does get past George. He does that off the racetrack, though. Maybe a bit of a warning for him there, as Isco is now going to be vulnerable. No, he actually isn't. He's going to get DRS from Dark Boom, who is a lapped car. And, oh! Harry nearly hit Isco down into that corner. That was unbelievably close. And it's going to be a struggle for George to get back past them now because he is on pretty old tyres. But, yeah, so Harry on Isco is going to be our closest battle. He tries to slip it up the inside a couple laps. Newer tyres. Now trying to go around the outside. He does. He pulls alongside of him up to this next corner. Maybe trying to sweep all the way around. In the Ferrari, he does. He keeps it close. What a move from the Ferrari of Harry, and he gets himself up into P5, but the battle is not over because Isco pulls alongside into turn 1 and re-overtakes him. He gets that move done again, but now this battle is going to continue once again, but George might get involved because now he's got DRS, and it might even be 3 wide if we're lucky. The Ferrari pulls alongside the Red Bull. Ferrari goes back up the inside, gets that move done. But look at George in the background. The Red Bull's coming right back at the Ferrari. This is incredible racing. And now Isco pulls alongside Harry. And George is watching in the background. He can't do anything. The Red Bull gets back past. What a battle. Ricardo took a second out of Twiffle. He did. He has definitely got more pace in this race. Twiffle's only hope of winning this race at this point is just holding on and trying to hold on to those tyres for as long as possible and hoping that Ricardo can get a penalty. But Ricardo knows that all he needs to do is just stay off the track limits and drive at a reasonable pace, and he'll win this race. But yes, so Harry now behind Isco, and Harry is behind Isco. He's now going back around this final corner once again, trying to make a move, and George has fallen out of that gap now, and he can't get right past. And now Harry goes alongside George. Not George, Isco, and he's hit Isco, and Isco is out. Isco is out of the race, and is that a safety car? It is. We have got a safety car with 3 laps remaining. Talk about drama. They've made contact. And now we have 3 laps left in this race, and we have got a safety car. Who is going to bite the bullet and come in for fresh softs? Is Twiffle? Is Twiffle coming in? Twiffle is. Twiffle is boxing for soft tires. He knows he can't do anything. F1 Ricardo comes in. Man like Mark comes in. Everybody boxing. Wishdax surely will come in too. Will he? Yes, he will. He's going to come in. Mopsy gets a penalty. Harry comes in as well. And he is going to get a penalty. Not Harry, sorry. Harry doesn't come in. Harry stays out on the medium tires. Harry is not boxing. He's decided to stay out. And George comes in. Flair comes in. Smurf comes in. Flair nearly hit George there in the pit lane. Smurf stays out, actually. Mopsy stays out. Christian, I think... No, he stayed out. Yeah, a lot of people trying a different strategy. Harry, the most notable one. But, yeah. So, now, the top 3, all on fresh softs. And you now do not know who can win this race, because we're at a very different chance now. However, it is really Ricardo's... the race is really in Ricardo's hands at this point, because he has got no penalties versus everyone around him on at least 3 seconds. So as long as he can just keep within 3 seconds of P1, he's going to win this race. And as long as he can keep off the track limits, then he will win this race. And Mopsy's a right bleep. Yeah, that was disgusting racing from Mopsy. I don't know what was happening, and I will reiterate that. Terrible racing. But safety car is in this lap. We're going to get 2 racing laps left. After the safety car comes in, the whole grid is not quite closed up to the safety car. However, the safety car will slow down by the end of it, and if they don't catch up, they will still have the chance to, I believe, although I think the Twiffle might have already been backing off, actually. Yeah, he can, so Twiffle has now become the de facto safety car. He's leading them away, and, yeah, Mopsy just pulled alongside Smurf. He's doing a bit of a Verstappen tactic. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, let's actually watch from the back of Twiffle's car. He's weaving and he's gone. He's gone for it. He's leapt. He's got the start done, and he is pulling away from Ricardo. Ricardo's going to try and make a move. Harry overtaking Smurf. There's a bit of a kerfuffle back there in the grid. Kind of bit of chaos going on in the back there. They were almost 3 wide into that corner. That was unbelievable. But pretty uniform through this first section of this first safety car lap. Harry's in very bad position on those 11-lap old mediums. Yeah, you should expect Harry to start really falling back through the grid at this point. That is what I would expect anyway. But Twiffle still leads this race. Got a 7/10 gap to Ricardo. Then a 6/10 gap back to man like Mark after him. Then there's 1.4 seconds to Harry. So the top 3 really starting to streak away from the rest of the grid in this race. And that is as you would expect, because Harry is acting like a mobile chicane for everybody else. As Wishdax falls back a little bit. George gets past. Flair gets past. Now, let's look at details for penalties. Wishdax gets 3-second time penalty. So this order is going to be really, really jumbled up at this point, because so many random penalties for people. And Smurf looks like he's going to get on the podium. No, never mind. That was wrong. Sorry, it looks like he's going to get P4. Twiffle sets the fastest lap for that Red Bull team. That was great from him. A full purple lap time. Half a second from Ricardo. He is driving as quick as he absolutely can. But no, he's got a 6-second time penalty. And that is going to ruin his race, because he's now going to demote himself to P3 due to that. Cheese Grater retires, and this is going to ruin Twiffle's chances of the race win, let alone the race win now. He's just fighting for P2, which I don't think he'll get, because man like Mark is within 3 seconds of him. They may both have 3-second penalties, and that worked when they were both on 3-second penalties. However, Twiffle has got another one. Smurf is on old tires, I believe. Yeah, Flair now getting past Mopsy. And yeah, he's going all the way around the outside. Mopsy's going to keep it out there. And yeah. So man like Mark now is actually really close to Ricardo. And man like Mark turns in and he gets a penalty. So no! Twiffle's P2 has come back to him. Because... And that was drama. And Ricardo wins the race. Ricardo wins it. And Twiffle has held position right at the end, right at the death of it. That was unbelievable. Man like Mark, all he needed to do was keep it together, and he got a penalty on the penultimate corner, and Twiffle snatches P2. But F1 Ricardo is going to win the Austrian Grand Prix for Alpine. Him taking another win in Division 5 so far this season. And he gains points back on his championship rival, man like Mark, in the Alfa Romeo. And this is a mega battle that's going on. But George gets P5 for Williams. Let's look at position changes. So, George up 3 positions, Smurf up 9, Twiffle up 2, Kieran gets up 10 positions, Unfunny Will down 2, Flair up 9, Harry's down 5, and Wishdax is up 2. And wow, what a race we had. And I don't think the controversy will stop, because we're going to have a little bit to say in the stewards room for sure. Because there were some interesting events happened afterwards. Okay. Okay, right. So, that was an unbelievable race. We are waiting on Dr. Routine Puppet to cross the line. He's on lap 30 because he's been lapped the whole race. Well, this should be him done, and then we should be finally finished. Oh no, is he actually going to have to keep going? Oh my words. What the heck? Ricardo, 20-second penalty for ignoring red flags? Yeah, okay. Ignore that, guys. That is a glitch. Ricardo has won this race. I don't know what's going on with the lobby. Yeah, ignore any of that, guys. Do not worry about that one. Because that is not what our race results are actually looking like. Sheesh. I don't know how long this is actually going to go on for, because I don't think Routine Puppet is actually going to ever finish, but oh well. Yes. Yeah, we are glitched. This lobby is glitched. I don't know what is going on. Time remaining 1 second. It's going to sit and do this for ages. Yeah, the lobby is fucked. Yeah. Yeah, I do not know what's happening. I think we're going to have to just leave the lobby now. Because this is completely broken. Yeah, we're left. Well, anyway, that was an amazing race. Ricardo taking the win. Don't let that finish tell you otherwise, because that is not what's really happening. But yeah. Well, thank you everybody for coming to the stream. We had an amazing race in Austria. We had incredible battles there, and we had amazing, close, hard racing, and some controversy between previous champions.